Hi, friends. Today's book that I'm going to read to you is called Growing Frogs. This book, the author is Vivian French. She wrote the words, and the illustrator is Allison Bartlett. She drew the pictures. Growing Frogs. What do you think this book's going to be about? Here's another hint. Growing frogs. Let's read to find out. Once, when I was little, my mom read me a story about a frog that grew bigger and bigger and bigger. Afterward, Mom asked if I'd like to watch some real frogs grow. I know where there's a pond with lots of frogs' eggs in it. She said we could bring some home. I was frightened. I don't want any frogs jumping around and getting bigger and bigger and bigger, I said. But Mom gave me a hug. It's only a story, she said. Even when our frogs are growing up, they'll still be smaller than my hand. Oh, I said, okay. The next day we went to look at the pond. The water was dark brown and there was gray jelly stuff floating on the top. Yuck, I said. There's the frog's spawn, said Mom, and she pointed to the gray jelly stuff. I bet that was laid last Friday night. The frogs were croaking so loudly I couldn't get to sleep. You see the black dot in the middle of each jelly shell, said Mom? That's going to grow into a tadpole. Where are the frogs? I asked. Tadpoles grow into frogs, she said. Little ones. No giant frogs here. Mom put some pondweed and some stones into a bag. She filled a bucket with pond water. Then I scooped a little of the frog spawn into it. Always use pond water for growing frogs at home. Tap water has chemicals like fluoride in it, and that might poison the frogs. When we got home, we put everything into a big fish tank in the kitchen. The cat kept peering at it, so we had to put a wire net over the top. I counted 27 little black dots. Each dot was inside its own jelly shell. The tank needs to be kept somewhere that's cool and away from direct sunlight. Every day when I woke up, I went straight downstairs to look at the frog spawn. The little dots grew into bigger dots. In a tank, eggs hatch into tadpoles about 10 days after they're laid. And then into tiny curls. And one morning I saw the first tadpole wiggling out of its jelly shell. At first, the tadpoles didn't do much. They just stayed close to their jelly shells and nibbled at the pondweed. But after 2 or 3 days, they looked quite different. There were feathery things on the top of their head, and I could see their eyes. The feathery things are called gills, and they're what underwater animals use for breathing. They swim very fast. Ten of the eggs didn't hatch. The black dots went dull and cloudy, and Mom took them away. The main reason eggs don't hatch is that they aren't fertilized during mating. Then we cleaned out the tank and put in fresh pond weed and water. One of the tadpoles swam into my hand when I was putting a stone back. It was slippery and slithery, and it made me jump. After the tadpoles hatch, the pond water needs to be changed at least twice a week. After a while, I got used to having tadpoles, and I didn't look at them so often. When Mom told me their little feathery things had disappeared, I didn't believe her, but it was true. Tadpoles have gills on the outside of their bodies at first. Then when they grow gills inside their bodies, and the outside ones disappear. I was the one who saw the next change, though. Look, I shouted, and Mom rushed to see. Some of the tadpoles had grown 2 little bumps. Mom said the bumps would grow into back legs. They grew very quickly. One day, there were 2 little bumps. The next day, the bumps were stumps. The day after that, they looked almost like real legs. And when the feet unfolded, they were webbed like tiny brownish green fans. They aren't tadpoles anymore, I said. They're not quite frogs. The not quite frogs grew front legs next, and then their tails grew shorter and their mouths got wider. Now they're frogs, Mom said, baby ones. Soon the baby frogs were popping up and gulping at the surface of the water. One of them tried to climb onto the stones, but it slipped off. Mom said they were getting ready to leave the water. Grown-up frogs breathe air, she said. That's what the stones are for, so our frogs can climb out of the water and breathe. As tadpoles slowly turn into frogs, they grow lungs for breathing air, and their gills disappear. Not long after that, Mom said it was time to take our baby frogs back to live in the pond with all the other baby frogs. I was sorry to leave them, but Mom said we could come back and visit every day. Baby frogs need space to grow and room to hop around. Grown-up frogs live most of their lives on land, returning to their pond only to breed. One rainy morning a week later, Mom woke me up very early. Hurry, she said, and we ran downstairs and out to the pond. There were hundreds of tiny frogs hopping over the grass. They're looking for dark, wet places to live, Mom said, but they won't go far, and in a couple of years, they'll be back to lay frog spawn of their own. Will they be bigger then? I asked. Just a little bit, said Mom. Good, I said. I like having frogs jumping around, getting bigger and bigger and bigger. The end. That was growing frogs. I hope you friends have a great day. Make sure you get outside to play and spend time with your family. Bye.